Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, as you can see, today we are not in my fish tank, we are actually in my bathroom. And there's a very good reason actually. So recently, we used to have this guy here, kind of a little story time. We used to have a guy here who bred pods, and he bred them really good. Like, we could see thousands of them per bottle. It was really impressive. There wasn't too expensive, and it was a really great way to get pods, into your tank. And there was a guy who did it kind of locally. Well, recently he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and unfortunately, I've seen some other guys try to grow pods, and then like the fish stores try to do it too. They do this and that, and honestly, it's not really up to par to what I was kind of looking for. So I figured, did a little research, and I realized it's apparently not that difficult. So what we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to try to set up our own pod culture here. Of course, it is kind of a, what do you call it? Like a test, just to see if I really can. But we're going to go ahead and see, if it's going to work, basically. And so we have a couple things set up today. We do have two of these bottles right here. I got these from Home Goods. They're just like little, plastic drink beverage dispenser kind of things. Honestly, I'm not even sure I really need the nozzle at this point, because it'll be just for myself. I could really just, pour it into the tank. But since this is kind of what everybody else uses, I figure I'd go ahead and just get the one with the nozzle. It wasn't too expensive anyways. Now, one of the reasons I actually decided to go ahead and do it in my restroom of all places and not somewhere else is, number one, I kind of don't have any space downstairs to put these two cans, plus, for example, the air pump right here. So this is kind of the best spot. And also, I didn't want to do it, for example, in my garage, just because as of right now it is winter time and night temperatures can get down to 30 degrees, and honestly I feel like that's a little bit too cold, especially in my garage and in other restrooms. So this restroom here, my room, I sleep pretty much in it, and it never gets below, I would say, 70 degrees, which I think is enough, warm enough for them to be alive, and not have to worry about them freezing to death. Now, the only addition that I haven't actually purchased for this is the lighting. From what I understand, I don't actually need a lot of light, just because I do have the Copepods that are going to be going in here, as well as some like Fido to feed them, but the Fido isn't live also, and they can feed on other things like spirulina powder, things like that. So, in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and just set it up in this corner right here. I have nothing here, so, it's kind of the perfect place to do it. Now, the only other items that I kind of felt like I needed at this point is going to be these little bubblers right here. I went ahead and got the circle-y ones just because I feel like it would work a lot better in something this kind of a cylinder shape. So we do have two of these. We do have the air pump, which you see right here. This is a Hygger Ultra Quiet. Now, I did get this from Hygger for free, so it is kind of like a paid promotion. Now, I do actually have in the description like a discount code that you can use, so perfect for the holidays. This thing, so far, I've tried it for a couple days. I don't know if you could hear it, but it is pretty darn quiet. Now, you do have the option to crank it up pretty darn high, so it will get pretty loud, but you can bring it down and make it very adjustable, just to like either the air level or the audible level. But yeah, they basically gave me this little guide to try out, and best part is it has two nozzles right here, so I'm able to power both of these off of just the one unit without having to tee it off. And what's great about this is, here's the box. What's great about this is it does come with all the tubing, so at least I don't have to buy the additional for that. It comes as well with an air stone as well as a check valve. So I'll go ahead and put those in line just so, I don't have to worry about it flowing back and destroying the pump. And then I'm not going to use the air stone for this, but having it included is pretty darn nice. Now, last but not least are the pods themselves. I basically went with Algae Barn right here. Now, out of all the companies that I've seen online or, locally, Algae Barn kind of seems the way to go. Reason being, a lot of other people, if you try to buy their pods, they have a blend, a variety of pods. And from what I've read, they'll start to cannibalize each other because some pods are going to be more predatory than other pods, or they'll outcompete the other pods, which in the end can end up being pretty bad. The one I end up going with are the ones we generally see in the reef, which are the Tisbe pods. And from what I've seen, they're generally the easiest to keep, require the least amount of maintenance. And of course, I want to put pods that everybody, usually has in their tank. For example, I've realized a lot of people like to put those little Hygger pods, which are the little red ones. They're a little bit bigger than the pods that are in here. You don't really see those breeding and living normally in an aquarium. Sure, it's food, but I don't feel like they're really made to exist in an aquarium long term. Versus these Tisbe pods, they can breed readily. I can get a good population, and as long as there aren't too many predators in the tank, they can kind of populate the tank on their own without my help. But being able to breed them would be super helpful. Now, you can kind of see them a little bit just squirming around in there, and that is actually perfect. See, a lot of the pods that I've seen here in the city, they're not even close to this concentration, which is really why I decided to go with Algae Barn. Now, also to preface this, I did pay for this. They didn't offer me anything or this or that. I paid for this with my own money just because I do believe at this point Algae Barn has the best offering that I was able to find. What we did was we went ahead and got 2 of them. So we'll do 1 culture in each one. And the reason I'm doing 2 cultures, so 2 containers, is just in case I accidentally destroy one for some reason, maybe overfeeding, or it crashes for some unknown reason. I'll have another one going, without having to, for example, worry about, I destroyed them. I destroyed one of them, not to wait for another order. Having 2 just raises that convenience level. Now, the last thing I got here is going to be this Ocean Magic Live Fido. Honestly, I'm not quite sure if it's actually alive right now. It probably was alive at some point, but generally you have to put fertilizer to keep these things alive, correct? Obviously, I'm not going to do that. I might do live Fido, like breeding at some point, but this seems like a lot more work than just breeding Copepods, which doesn't need live Fido to survive. They just need some kind of a food source. So, yeah, we might do that, for example, at some point, but just not right now. But this is what I'm going to be using for now to feed the little guys. I've also heard spirulina powder works, so we might try that as well. But yeah, what we're going to go ahead and do right now is we're going to go ahead and get these cultures into each of those. Get the, air pumps into it. For a day now, I've actually had fresh salt water, bubbling away here just to have it ready. It is at 1.020 in salinity, which I've seen online is the best salinity to keep these at. They don't need to be at full reef tank salinity that you see online. And we're going to fill these jars up. We're going to get the cultures in it and we'll get it bubbling away. Okay, perfect. So we basically just filled these 2 with water, salt water. So it's at 1.020 for both of them. Now, just like any other invertebrate, you do want to acclimate them. At least that's what I think. I don't want to go ahead and shock it, especially right now, considering it's pretty cold, whether it's just a regular aquarium, my garage here. So, it is a little chilly. what I went ahead and did is I just put the pods in here and we'll just let them bubble for a little while, just to let it get up to temp before I go ahead and release them into the tank. Now, one thing I did figure out is these little guys, which I bought from Petco. So these little circular bubblers, I thought they would do pretty well considering the shape and then the circular base. Yeah, these things suck. So I'll just throw these into a bin of useless crap for just another reason. But yeah, those are terrible. We went ahead and used the two that came with the little Hygger pump right here. And I don't know if you can hear it, but this Hygger Ultra Quiet is pretty damn quiet. The sound of the air hitting the surface is louder than the pump itself. So overall, I am super impressed with it. Like I did mention, I did get that for free. And then also in the description below, there is a code for you to use if you want to get one yourself. And I think it gives you a little discount, but you'll see it in the description, whatever that is. But we'll go ahead and just let these guys chill for right now. I have not put in the live Fido as of yet. We're just going to wait a little bit until everything's acclimated. Then we'll just put everything together. The only additional thing I've been thinking of is drilling a couple holes just to make this a little bit cleaner. You know, that cover on the top. Drilling a hole just for that airline tubing. But we'll work on that a little bit later as well. But for now, I'm going to go have dinner, and we'll be right back with you. All right, so now it's been a couple hours. What I've gone ahead and done is I've already added the Tisbee pods to each of the containers here. Always make sure you do shake pretty darn well before you pour it in, just to make sure that all the pods get into each container, you know, as much as humanly possible. And last but not least, we're just going to add the Fido right here. There's been kind of a variety of different concentrations, people say. Some people go with like a very subtle tint, some people go with like a very dark tint. So I'm gonna do a little bit of one of each. So what we're gonna start with, we'll just do little by little. I think a capful, we'll give that a shot first just to see how much that is. But we're gonna fill this guy up right here. So up to the highest mark, which is 30 milliliters. And we're gonna go ahead and pour the sucker in. Which really isn't much at all, so I think we'll double that actually. We'll do another 30. And yeah, there's a very subtle tint there now. And I think for this guy, we're gonna go ahead and do maybe double that. So we'll do 120 and we'll see from there, you know, kind of how it goes. But we'll give it a day or two just to see, you know, if there's any differences, if it becomes lighter, which means that the Fido is being eaten. But that is it for right now. All right, so it's now actually been a couple of days since we went ahead and set this up. Couple things you will notice that I myself have also noticed. We do have a little bit of settling of the Fido that we put in there. I would assume that I don't have to remove it just because it is, you know, going to be eaten by the Copepods. It's basically grass, right, that they'll be feeding off of. So we're not going to go ahead and touch it. I do know they're still alive just because I did fill it a little bit too much and it started to overflow. So I poured some into a little cup, and it's a little hard to see, but there's a couple in just this little cup. So for sure they did definitely make it. Now, I know a lot of people, they have basically the tank just green all the time. I'm going to try not to do that just because I don't want it to, for example, crash. I don't want to have so many nutrients in there that the little, you know, unfiltered basically the system can't handle it. So I will feed here and there. I heard also you can do spirulina powder as well as maybe just a little crushed flake food. So we may try those also once the Fido itself runs out. I still have about a half bottle. Hopefully in a few weeks, we'll be able to go ahead and do kind of a harvest, and I want to take a video of that to see if I can get that copepod density down. I do remember from the pods that our local vendor sold, it was super dense in the bottle, which is really what I'm kind of aiming for. I want to see if I can get that density, that amount of growth. Of course, that means I will need to feed more. Don't get me wrong, this won't be it. There'll definitely be more food added. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. Just to see kind of how I set up my little copepod farm. Hopefully it does work. This is a first time work in progress kind of thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, thank you guys as always for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of my setup, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.